Hey everyone, it's me, Donna. Yeah, it's been an interesting few weeks. I've captured some interesting activity on my porch with my porch cam here lately, and I just thought I would share it with you. Some of you may or may not have seen the videos that I posted on my channel. As long as I notice things happening and my camera gets triggered, my motion detector detection on my camera, uh, then I'm just going to post it and maybe set music to it or whatever, depending on the activity. But anyway, so that's what that's about. There's a lot of things I cannot explain, like the orbs and all that. And I have discussed quite a while back about an experience I had in 2014 where a big ball of light came down from the sky. It wasn't very far from me. I had a slit in the center and then another ball of light inside that. Uh, that that blew my mind, and ever since then, it's kind of triggered a lot of interest that I've had for these things because I had been seeing these balls of light up in the sky, moving around and all that stuff, and they look like stars. You would think that they're stars because they'll be stationary right near other stars or in front of other stars, and then all of a sudden they'll start moving around. You're like, whoa, and it's just, and they can get really, really big, they can get really, really small, they can change colors, you name it. Okay, so that's within itself is mind blowing. And then the other day, to actually capture, like, just translucent like orbs uh, zigzagging around on my porch, and then to catch that one orb that I would assume is about maybe the size of a golf ball, uh, hanging out on my porch, just floating around, and then just like moving around, and then casting a shadow, which to me that indicates that it has mass, some type of mass. Uh, so whatever energy that it's using creates mass that light cannot penetrate. Therefore, it creates a shadow. Okay, that's my theory on it. But then it just poof disappears out of sight. So I thought I would share that. And so, yeah, if any more activity pops up, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to share it. Also, I've been thinking more and more about DNA and my family tree and all that type of stuff. Um, I've gotten some more ideas about that. Uh, but one thing, and I'm going to get on my soapbox here, one thing that irritates me is trolls. And let me state this, okay? If me talking about DNA offends you, just back out of my videos and go somewhere else, okay? If me being a white person or any race discussing other ethnicity groups that I know that I have found by taking different DNA tests, if that bothers you, if you cannot handle it, okay, if you don't believe it, if it triggers you in any way, don't watch my videos. Just don't do it. Just back out, go somewhere else, okay? I don't have time to keep arguing. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Okay, if you think for one second that I don't know that I'm white, then you've got problems, okay? I'm not Ollie London. I'm not one of these other people who's either delusional or a troll, not to call names or, directly offend someone, but I'm not that deranged in my head to where I think that for one second, me finding out this information is going to change how people perceive me. If you think I don't, that I think that that's going to change in any way, you're crazy. I mean, I'm sorry, but you're crazy. Like, really? And if you feel the need to educate me and tell me that I'm white when I already know that fact, you need to just go on and just leave me alone. I don't want to hear it. I don't want you know. I'm trying to discuss, I'm trying to have a decent conversation about DNA. Uh, I compare companies, okay? Some companies I know for a fact are not including smaller pieces of DNA in their reports. Even though when they process your DNA, your raw DNA, it's there. But when they set up their programs to not recognize smaller pieces of DNA that are below a certain measurement, okay? So let's say six centimorgans, which that's what I've gathered from the information that I've read and from just looking at my own reports and other hearing other people talk and discuss and all that. That's the assumption that I'm making for the most part with these companies, is that that is about the lower threshold. So if something's below that, then a lot of times it won't be included in their reports, okay? uh, and then there's really good companies out there that do include that information, uh, who don't care about that, okay? They have no agenda, they have no reason, you know, to keep that from their customers. Therefore, they include it, okay? Not to say that the ones that don't include it have some kind of agenda. I mean, who knows? Some of them claim it's to save database space, which I think is kind of ridiculous. I don't get that. And, just various other reasons. Um, so, whatever, okay? But if me talking about that and me comparing different companies against each other offends you, and you, or if you're a diehard Ancestry DNA company fan, or some other DNA company fan, and me maybe criticizing that company and telling what I feel like is the truth offends you, back out of my videos and go somewhere else. Go troll on somebody else's channel. Stay off of mine. I ain't got the time for you. I'm going to start blocking people because I'm fed up. I have had it up to here with that bull. It's ridiculous. Okay? Those negative Nancy's and Karens out there, I don't have time for you. Okay, you're not teaching me anything. I'm sorry, but you're not. Okay, you're just being a smart aleck, and I just don't have time for that. Just don't. Okay. Um. So that's all I've got to say as far as that goes. Okay. But if you think that my videos are of some value to you, and maybe you've taken a test or two and you're like, that makes sense, especially if like maybe you're working on your own family tree, or you just know your ancestry, and you take a test with one of these leading companies and they don't include it, and you're like, wait a minute, I know that's there. And then you take another test with another company and it tells you that it's there and then some, or whatever. I'm telling you, my opinion as to why I believe this is occurring. And for those who get a shock of their life because they've always believed that their parents and grandparents and great grandparents and all that come off the boat and we're all German, and all this bunch of stuff, and then they find out that they've got pieces of this and that and the other, you know and they don't want to believe it. you know I can't help that. If it bothers you because you've got a test result that doesn't agree with what you believe, and it shows more of stuff that you actually have, but you don't want to believe it, and me talking about that bothers you, I'm sorry, because I'm telling you right now, a lot of these are some of these other companies that are going deeper, that do allow the smaller pieces of DNA to be shown, they're not necessarily wrong just because you don't want to believe that, okay? Um, so just because ancestry.com says what you want and it doesn't go back and it doesn't show this other stuff, you can't just write off other companies just because that other stuff does show up in the, your DNA tests. Okay? But I digress. If you still don't want to believe it, that's your prerogative. I mean, that's your right. But don't come crashing my party and telling me that I'm wrong and that I'm chasing after something when I'm just, I'm using my common sense, and I do realize the difference between a company that shows deeper stuff and a company that doesn't. You know, I mean, I just think that's, I don't know. I just think that it's kind of ridiculous how some people act, and how some people just refuse to believe in reality when it's right in front of their face. And I'm not claiming to suddenly be multiracial, multi whatever, just because I find out this information. Although I embrace it, I appreciate it, I try to learn about it, try to, inform myself as much as I can about my ancestors and all that. Um, but I'm not suddenly just changing who I am just because I find out this information. I mean, that's just kind of stupid, uh, for people to assume that I do. Um, so, yeah. But anyway, I just wanted to. Oh, yeah. And also, I want to state this. There can be various reasons why companies want to, say, DNA companies, might want to. Set up the programs to only recognize certain things. Like if you want to give a version of history that you want told other than the truth, you can set up your program to only recognize certain things within people's DNA. Like when people's strips of DNA uh, gets read by a program, if you set it up to not recognize certain DNA or to only recognize DNA of certain sizes, then you can omit that other stuff. And therefore, that gives uh, an overbloated and a false percentage of what is there. Okay. Now, like I said, I'm not saying that these companies have an agenda, but that is a possibility if a company wanted to do that. Say if they didn't want a bunch of people to know that, let's just say during World War II and all that, when the Russians invaded and Germany and all that, and there was, you know, all that fighting and everything. If, just say, a company did not want people to know that there were as many offspring created from that invasion and that takeover, if they wanted it to the narrative to be that Germans are strictly Germans, you know, and they have no new Russian influences from that time period. Well, these scientists, they know uh, just about when and the size of DNA pieces that line up with certain times in history, like a certain strip of DNA, a certain size and certain measurement that people have might come from ancestors of a certain time frame. They've already kind of gathered that information. Therefore, they can set a program up to not recognize certain ethnicity strips that are a certain size if they so chose to. Now, I'm not saying that they're doing it. I'm just giving that as a crazy example off the top of my head, okay? If they wanted to do that. Or if they wanted to not let us white people know that a lot of us have more Native American than we thought. They could set up a program to not recognize strips of Native American that we have within a certain time frame, so that people will just think, okay, I'm just straight up white and I don't have anything else. Not saying that I'm not straight up white, even though I do have bits and pieces of other stuff, but I'm just saying, to make people think that, okay, there's no way I have Native American, even though they may have that in their tree. They may find it in their research and they're like, what the, okay, this is not lining up. But if you wanted to make people kind of believe that and have them think, well, I guess that ain't true. I guess that ain't so. Then what better way to build yourself up to be this big, great company and to set your programs to not recognize certain sizes of DNA within a certain time frame? I mean, it would be the perfect thing to do. And again, I'm not accusing anyone of doing that, okay? I'm just saying that it is possible. It's easy, if you know what you're doing, if you've got your programmers and you know all about DNA and, you've got your scientists, you've got your labs, you've got everything set up. You could do that easily. That wouldn't be a problem at all. You can set up programs to read just about anything you want on people's DNA. And then, in those circumstances, of course, people have to go to other companies to find out, the truth. But then it still becomes debatable because then you get other people coming along saying, oh, that ain't true. That company's just, digging stuff out of the air and all that crud, because you're always going to have negative Nancy's. I don't care. But but because you're the main major company out there, everybody's going to believe more of your results than they would another company's. So it would be easy to do. I'm just saying. But again, I'm not just directly accusing anybody, and I don't really understand why, but again, I'm just saying. All right, it is a possibility if a company wanted to do that. All right, but having said that, I am going to get off here. But I had to put that out there because, I've just been dealing with these trolls, these people that just want to argue till the sun comes down. You could say anything, and I swear that they would find something wrong with what you're saying. Even though they may be saying the same thing, but because you don't word something exactly like they believe it should be worded or said, they will strip it apart and they will just, and it's just stupid and it's ridiculous. And I've had enough of it, okay? So anyway, I'm going to shut up and I'm going to get off here. And if you've noticed my fingertips being red, I've got some Kool-Aid on my fingers. So yeah. But anyway, we'll talk to you later. Bye.